Strepto.
Right, so this week what we're going to do is we're going to look at another form of vegetative propagation. We looked at softwood cuttings last week. I want to talk to you about leaf cuttings. Now, leaf cuttings are a slightly unusual form of cuttings. You can do them, there's several ways you can do them in terms of the material that you use. What you'll be using is the seed trays we used last week, or pots if appropriate, and you'll be filling those up with compost and watering them beforehand, as we did previously. I'll run you through various bits of this now, but just what I want to talk to you in the first instance just now, so you can all see, is about the preparation of the cuttings, and just to explain some parts about why we can do this with some plants. So the first subject we're going to do, this is if there was ever a plant to make you feel like a horticulturist who's adept at leaf cuttings, it's this one here. This is the Streptococcus. Now this is the one which I think I pointed out to you already in the Hamilton Gardens. Now one of the peculiar things about Streptococcus is the way the leaves grow. Okay? Most plants, they grow the petiole and then the leaf blade. The leaf blade will expand, but it will get to a certain stage very quickly and will stay there. So if it grew to that size, it would stay that size. Now this is not the case with Streptococcus. They continue to grow. They have great potency in terms of the growing. So that leaf was that size at one point, seeming like a fully formed leaf, and it has grown into a fairly sizable leaf. Okay? And this is because Streptococcus have this propensity to grow from the base. They keep on growing and putting more and more growth on. Now this means that there's a lot of undifferentiated cells, of course, there. And as we know from last week, undifferentiated cells are extremely useful in respect of the fact that they can produce root material. So when we look at this one then, the way we would cut this, you can do two things in terms of preparing it. I'll show you on a small one. Now the first way of cutting this is easier if you turn it over this way. Get your nice sharpened knife. You could always nip next door to house 14 and sharpen your knives, should you wish to do this. We can cut it right the way along the petiole, carefully trying to maintain the petiole, okay, so that we get a section like this. Okay. That can then be laid down into the compost, that way up, and when it's put into the compost, we just use a ruler to make a straight line in there rather than a sort of dipper. It's just laid out in there, and that will actually form plants right the way along where the petiole and the midrib meet. And although it's a little bit, there's been a kalanchoe growing next to this, and we've got all kinds of bits growing up in here now. Something else is set seed. But this is what you get. You get a row of these plants in here. This is obviously, because of lockdown, nothing was done of this. So these not only started to grow into plants, they even flowered this year. Rather unusual, so it's not the best example of it. Normally we would have taken this out quite some time ago. What I will do though, in just lifting this out, is to show you just the sort of number of plants you might expect. The mother leaf will doubtless have disappeared, but can we? Broad sort of summarization. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it does properly. There's a callus on that, don't we? 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 for every 5 centimetres. Not a bad take, is it really? So the method is effective and efficient in terms of a relatively low-tech but easy to achieve method of propagation. So we can see there's quite an effective way of propagation. Now there is another method we can use to propagate these, where we just simply take sections across, like this. It's about 1 centimetre to 1.5 centimetres, can be longer, it doesn't matter. You take these almost right down to the base, really. There just has to be a bit of leaf blade on them to make sure that it will photosynthesize. And these are then just placed. Now, the important thing is they have to go in the right way up. Okay, the auxins still move down those veins the same way as they would down branches. We talked about auxins last week, of course. And so a little slit is made into the compost. These are just pushed in and then pressed up on there, and of course as it's watered that firms them in. It's easier to see on these because you've actually got the veins sort of pointing upwards the way they are on top. So you see on here this reticulated vein pattern means that they point up. So it's easy to see. Begonia, normally you would be looking for a larger leaf than this. Just simply for official. This will make a cutting, no problem with this. What you can do with this, normally we trim off the PTO so you can go flat. This is then pegged across the compost. So you put it on your compost tray, you put this down on there, and then you make a series of little slits across the veins, and you just spread these out thinking that will form a plant there on this side. So you can think of one there, one here, one here. You see why you probably want a larger leaf than this. The larger the leaf, the more you can do this. Okay, so you make a series of slits in there, and then you peg using a paper clip. So it's a bit of paper clip or a bit of wire. You just snip with the end of your secateurs. So if you twist a paper clip around, and then you get your... Don't do it with the blade of your secateurs. Right down at the bottom, you've got a little hook in there, which you have to be careful with, because otherwise it pings across the glass house. You can then just trim it again. The paper clip's fine. So you'd use that to peg the leaf down at that point, so that the vein stays in contact with the compost. If it doesn't, it's hanging in the air, it won't root. If you just go around mutilating your leaves on your begonia like this, it won't start forming rooted plantlets. It will just start to die off ahead of that, where there's no more moisture going to the leaf. So we peg that down using our very conveniently sized pegs on this. And you can see, well, normally have a larger leaf than that. This is, you can have a go at do a leaf each, or something, one of these, you know, to see what happens.